If you want to communicate more effectively, be more magnetic in your message, and I don't know, speak from a place of vibrational truth, you need to turn this up. Today I connected with Garrain Jones. He went from ex-convict, over 2 years homeless, $250,000 in debt, to a freaking millionaire, speaking in 80+ countries at one time to 50,000 people. He's the creator of Artist Power, which is a global movement that is transforming the entertainment and personal development space. His story is wild. After losing his father as a young boy, almost dying a couple of times as a child, he's experienced the ups of succeeding in the entertainment business, working with like Ludacris, crazy. But he's also experienced the downs of losing everything, going to jail, and living out of his car. This dude has been through some things, but he is here to talk about how to shift everything around. How do you take negative energy that was on its way to destroy you and transfer it into your superpower? How do you do the difficult things in life in order to grow, but do it from a place of ease? How do you strengthen your belief in yourself? And goodness, how do we get and stay freaking lit up? Oh, I'm getting lit up just talking about this. This is Garrain Jones.
Energy can't be created nor destroyed. It can only be transferred. The same guy that broke into all the houses, broke into all the cars, slept around with all those women when he was a broken boy with a hole in his heart, is the same guy that has impacted millions of people. It's the same energy, just transferred in a different direction. How you do that is...
Garrain Jones with us today came heavily recommended by previous guest Jamie Gruber, and I can see why. When I started digging into your work, I'm like, how in the world have I not known about this person years before? Because this is the kind of what you're sharing out in this world is the kind of content and message I look for and I'm searching for, tapping into the heart and the soul and the thing that's the thing. You know what I mean, man? Like, we're looking for the thing and there's the thing underneath the thing. And that's what you've aligned your entire work around, is getting to the heart of people, getting them tapped back into what lights them up, their childlike state, play. And you have such a wild ass story. And what a miracle and what a gift it is to have you here and alive and breathing and tapped in, and then generous enough to use your gifts to serve so many people. Garrain Jones, it's a freaking honor, man, to have you on the show. I could go like 58 million directions with you, I know, in 50 minutes. So we're just going to see what we co-create, friend. But it's so cool meeting you.
I'm excited. Thank you so much for having me on.
You said man, a minute ago, I've never had anyone say to me before that the title that you have the most pride around is exceptional father. Like, dude, that hits. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, my father was murdered when I was 12 years old. I don't mean to hit everybody so hard, but that is my story. And I grew up not having a present father, and I have a daughter who's 22, and my first daughter, I wasn't present because there were no models to show me what presence looked like. So I thought being in the room was present. Didn't know that you can be in the room and thinking about other million things and not actually be there. It wasn't until, I fell on really hard times, went $250,000 in debt, lived in my car for 2.5 years, mom dying in the hospital, girlfriend broke up with me because I couldn't get my life together. For me to have the biggest epiphany in my life, which is no one's going to come and save me, and I can't blame anybody for the way my life has turned out, because I have a philosophy that says you're born looking like your mom and dad, but you'll die looking like your decisions. Well, there was a moment where I said, well, what if I decide to do something different with the same circumstances? And so training myself how to do the opposite in every area of my life where I wasn't happy, in my health, in my relationships, in my family, the way that I looked and I felt, my aging process, which, by the way, age doesn't make you old. It's when you let your life beat you down and that
Come
weighs on
on.
your spirit. So by living an unconscious life, I was just dealing the cards, whatever I settled for. And by me growing through that process and saying, you know what would it look like if I decided to live now instead of just exist in this life? And I started doing the opposite, and that landed me in personal development, spiritual psychology, doing 10 days in the dark, 5 days in silence, and taking all these emotional intelligence courses and communications 1, 2, 3, and 4, and all of this only to bring me back around to meeting my now wife of almost 5 years. We have a daughter who's 2.5. So I had the 20-year gap in who I was when I was 22 and who I am now at 45. That 20-year gap has allowed me to heal and be exceptional simultaneously, because I got to see who I was when I was younger with no guidance, and who I am now with the proper guidance, with the proper masterminds, the community, and I can heal the little boy inside. And this is what brings me to the question that you ask. I wanted more for my life, and I sought out more. I found it. And what I found was actually me and many different variations outside of me, which brought me back home to myself.
Damn, there's so much there, man. Like,
A lot.
there's a lot there. And I hear you. I get it. And the word unfair keeps coming to my mind, because when you dig into like what happened to you as a kid and almost losing your life, and, you know, so many things that were not your choice. You talk about choice, right? And the stuff that happens, you know, we're meaning finding folks. We want to know the answer. Like, why does this happen to me? It seems like some people are handed just different cards, man. I'm just curious, like, how do you wrestle with that? Because when we're at that road of like, man, I want to choose more and I want to be different, I feel like that's kind of the chain and the ball that holds us back so much, is we don't understand why.
Well, trying to understand why from the human context is very different than a God-ordered life that has a long game plan beyond your human knowing. And I'll just get into the practicalities of that. When I was a little kid, I used to be like, oh, I want to be a superhero when I get older. I want to have abs like an action figure. I want to be stronger than the average human. And I want to save and I want to change lives all over the world. I want to save lives all over the world. Now, I've never met a superhero who didn't have to overcome hard things in order to achieve their powers. But I didn't know this at the time when I was a little kid, because you can't see the picture while you're in the frame, the frame of your life. So I didn't know that going through all those hard times and then bouncing back and then overcoming, learning lessons that I didn't even learn. Because when you keep overcoming things, you become a sustainable person. You learn grit. You learn how to have staying power. There's so many things that you can learn if you choose to find the lesson inside of the position of pain. Most people stay in the pain and they stay in the suffering, but there's a hidden seed inside of everything that somebody is suffering from right now. That is a gem, that is a seed that is connected to a much larger picture. I learned how to find the seed of peace inside of the ocean of pain, inside of the soil of pain. So when I used to say, God, why does it feel like I'm living 15, 20 different people's lives? And I just went through, I was a stripper when I was 18. I was a drug dealer. I was an athlete. I was a model. I was an actor. It was like I just went through this whole range of all these different kind of people. And now at 45, inspiring millions of people, I attract strippers, drug dealers, models, actors, and so many different variations of the kind of person who I was in my past. And so when you look at the grand scheme, the whole life's body of work, I'm like, oh, I asked for this life because I wanted to be a superhero, saving and changing lives all over the world. And my audience is so many different calibers of people, but they all fit the narrative of different versions of myself from the past that I overcame. So because of all of that, I'm able to reach so many different religions, so different genders, backgrounds, colors. It doesn't even matter because it transcends all of that, because it hits people in the voiceless part, or the parts of you that you haven't given a voice, because I share the vulnerability in a way that people shy and mask and overcompensate. So my life was given to me so that I could truly reach the caliber and the kind of people that I'm effortlessly reaching right now, from a place of compassion and empathy.
You're so lit up. You're so lit up
Yeah.
about what you're saying. You tell you're just lit up about life. And I love that. And I'm so curious how you tapped into that life source, because the
Yeah.
man that you're describing to me and the timeline you have on your website, just the things that you've navigated through, I'm sure you had a charismatic personality and you were gifted with that, I'm sure, at some level, back then. But tell me
Yeah.
about like that kind of tapped in spiritual, just lit upness that you
So
found, because I think we're all attracted to that and we want to feel that lit up too.
I was always afraid to be myself, because when I was a little kid, it wasn't good enough. People would talk about me. Why are you dressing like that? Why do you have to sing so loud? Like, I got
Really?
legit kicked out of school with 60 something discipline slips in 1 year, put in bad kids school because I was singing and I wouldn't stop. You would have
Oh,
thought,
that breaks my heart.
you would have thought someone would have said, not even
Mm,
getting kicked out of school is stopping him from singing. Let's surround him
come on.
around what's naturally installed inside of him. That didn't happen. So I shut up. I listened to what everyone else told me to do. You should do this. You sing too loud. You're too much. You're too this. So I shut off the bigness that's inside of me, not knowing what I was actually doing and wondering why. Why do I feel empty? Why do I feel dead on the inside, even with moderate success? I feel like something is missing. I just, we ask a lot of people ask these questions, even with a lot of money. They're like,
mm.
but something is missing. Well, I am so grateful, because it wasn't until I'm sitting there pretending to be a model. Once I got out of prison, I was still pretending like I was something that I wasn't while I was dying on the inside. And I went on Facebook, and I don't know what propelled me to do it, but I felt like such a fraud by pretending to be something that I was not. And Rihanna had a song called "We Out Here Living a Lie." And I couldn't get the song out of my head. I'm like, I'm living a lie. I'm telling people I'm this personal trainer, but I'm literally dying on the inside. So I went on Facebook and I did a post and I said, "You think you know me? You have no idea. You know I've dated this person, you know this, and you know this, and you know this. But what you don't know, right now I'm sleeping in my car. Right now I'm
Yeah.
sleeping in an abandoned building on bubble wrap. I do not want you to feel sorry for me, because in 5 years I'm going to be a multimillionaire. I'm going to retire my mom, and I'm going to have these big businesses and everything." And I said this in the lowest time of my life, but I felt more free during the time I was the most lost, while being vulnerable and just saying, the very first message, and this is where this all came from, me really tapping into the spirituality and deepening my practice. It took a lot for me to be vulnerable and share what's really going on in my life.
For real.
The first message I got from somebody: "Thank you for your strength. I put the gun down when I read your testimony." Fifth message: "Someone shared your testimony with me. I was on my way to drive my car off a bridge. Thank you. You saved my life." I never felt more purpose in my life during my darkest hours in losing myself. I found myself. I know who I am. I'm meant to represent the voiceless, or the parts of people that haven't yet given a voice, because everybody's running around making life look a certain way. But deep down on the inside, there's that little voice. My job in this world and where it came on is I want to develop whatever practice had me have the strength to be able to share something that I was so deathly afraid to share. And then it penetrated somebody's soul so much that it had them drop the gun from committing suicide, not drive off of a bridge, and now to this date inspire millions of people to choose inner liberation. It was that, me being myself and sharing who I really am from the authentic space, that said, I want to learn more about whatever is inside that has that much power that can create that. And so I've been, since 2013, every single day, a student to life and a student to transformational change.
I think that's one of the really interesting parts of your story. I mean, obviously, my God, the timeline of what you went through and been through just at a very freaking young age is one thing. But I think one thing that stood out to me looking at your narrative was this point where you were starting, it seemed to get some traction. I mean, like, signed a deal and working with Ludacris and getting to do some cool stuff, and then then end up homeless, and then you end up deciding to go this path, which I know you're just multi-dimensionally talented in the creative space and so forth. And I was so curious about that decision, because tell me, or if I'm off on this, it seems as though you could have got healed and entered back into kind of the entertainment space and really went heavy on that. But it seems as though you chose not to, and to go into healing, leadership, personal development, and so forth. So I just want to understand you a little bit more. Tell me about that.
So the rises and falls were it was due to not being aware of what I was doing that created the change. So again, you can't really change what you're not aware of. So even if it's changing, I'm like, oh my God, it's all me. I didn't know that it was the books that I was reading, the prayers that I was doing daily, the meditation that I was doing. So all of this was just, I'm reading a book and it's telling me to do something, I do it. I didn't know those practices was changing how I'm feeling about myself. And the feeling is the secret. And the feeling state emits a specific vibration, which transmutes into a frequency, and who you're being, your life is responding to you. So life is like, it's like a plastic universe that's going to mold itself around how you vibrationally sit in your body. I didn't know any of this. So when my world just magically started changing and I'm on BET and MTV and I'm in music videos with Ludacris, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm the man. And people start saying, oh, you're amazing. You're amazing. I never really heard things like that before. So I didn't know what to do with that praise. I wasn't taught how to be humble when it comes to praise. So I wasn't taught, I didn't have mentors in my life to keep me locked in when it came to humility and truly being able to meet people where they are. So when you're in this newfound fame and these newfound money, and then all of a sudden people are like, oh, you're the shit. You're amazing. You're amazing. And I'm like, you know what? I am amazing. I am the best. I am the next to blow. And if my ego had got in the way, and ego is heavy. So when my ego got bigger, when I allowed my ego to get bigger than the gift, it was almost like, it's like God took away the gift. He was like, I didn't give you this so that you can think about yourself. I gave you this so you can give the gift away. But I was using it. I was like trying to get girls and all this other stuff. I lost integrity with the gift, not knowing that I was doing that. So just as fast as it rose was just as fast as it went away. So the reason why I chose something different, and then my life exploded over the last 15 years, because it was the first time that I was introduced to personal development. I didn't know. So I went to a leadership seminar, which was a part of doing the opposite. So instead of going to a nightclub and chasing women, I was like, I'm going to go to this free leadership seminar and chase a better version of myself. And so I heard leaders on stage, if you find a good book, keep reading because leaders are readers. You don't want the weeds of your past to get in the way. And I was like, oh, that's why the ego kept coming back, because weeds don't need anything to grow but time. So the ego, no matter how much work you do, doesn't need anything for it to grow but time. So that's why when you keep learning and you keep growing and you keep a humble state, that's like a master gardener knowing how to tend the garden to take care of the fruits and vegetables and the trees and the flowers. So it was that first meeting, I was like, okay, never stop growing, never stop being a student, never stop learning, and be in the humble state. Anytime you are receiving any level of success, I learned all of that by going into the personal development world. And I was like, oh, that was the missing piece. Learning how to develop the person while the skill set or the talent was trying to grow. So now I grow with my skill set and talent. So that's why I can have several companies in 7 figures in an effortless way, because the level of work that I've done with myself on the inside, working harder on yourself than you do on your job, is 10x anything that comes in this way. And it allows me to be in a humble frequency state and truly receive. And it makes sense why I receive, because I give maybe 100 times more than anything that comes in. And that cycle is just like the flow of nature, giving and receiving.
Yeah. Tell me, it's so interesting you said an effortless, because
Yeah.
earlier you talked about, there's like this gift in adversity. And I was just having this conversation earlier today, and I wrestle with it still because, you'll read the books and they're like ease and flow and things are supposed to come so easy to you. And then you have other, sides where it's like, no, man, through the pain and through the grit, that's where growth happens. And so I know it's a yes and not an either or, but how do you conceptualize ease with growth?
Here's what I'll share with you. Being an ego maniac, gossiping, always talking about things that you hate, pointing out all the negative things, will corrode your entire life. That is a very difficult life to live. Yeah. That difficult is very different than training for your very first marathon and you're overcoming. Say it again.
I said preach. I just got done with the marathon. That was tough, dude.
So that's a very difficult than hiring a coach to teach you how to lean into your edges and overcome your negative thinking and all that. That's a different variation of difficult. The difficult that you put on yourself because attitude reflects leadership, or the difficult that allows you to grow and expand your capacity so you can hold for a higher caliber version of yourself, is light years different because the energy is different. So what I'm sharing is I wake up at 4:20 in the morning. That's difficult for a lot of people. I do the sauna. I do the cold plunge. I go run 5 to 6 miles, only breathing through my nostril every 3 steps. That can seem really, really, really difficult. And I'm training calm, resilience in my body. The aim is to build a strong base, strong foundation. And when you're building the foundation of a house, there's lots of drilling. I'm not just going into any old random street and going like that. And that's what people do when they're like negative thinking, pointing out the bad stuff. So this kind of difficult, I call it coach. I have run 64 miles over a mountain at one time, only stopping twice to use the restroom. So I'm very skilled at running mileage. So if somebody came to me and said, hey, coach, will you train me to run my first marathon? First question I'm going to ask, how do you want to finish the race? Do you just want to walk across? Do you want to compete? Top 50, top 25, top 10, top 5, top 3? Do you want to break a record? Based off of what you say you want, that's how I'm going to design the training. I'm not going to design a world-class training for somebody who's just trying to walk across the finish line because you're not even mentally, conditionally ready for that. So life, when you have a vision, mission, prayer, wish, desire, when you say, I want this, and it's really massive, you're like sending a command to the universe. You're like sending command. It's like, God, give me the training. And if it's massive, guess what? In your spirit, I want the world record. I want top 5, top 20, top 15, whatever. It's going to unlock the equal of its resistance. It's not a coach on a padding board. You got to understand how the laws of the universe work. Resistance also comes, it's the other side of your wish. There's the dark side of the moon is still the moon. So the resistance is unlocked to test you, to see if what you want is what you really want. And so if you can think in terms of, this is my training. Thank you, coach. Thank you for making me better. I've turned that level of difficulty into my flying lesson or my training so that I can evolve into the capacity of the person that can hold for the next level.
I wasn't ready for you today. Lord Jesus. That was so good. Okay, here, this is something I wanted to ask you about. I heard in another interview, and I'm paraphrasing this, but it was along this idea of addiction. And you were talking about how you can take that energy and shift it into another energy. And the only other person I remember talking about that was Napoleon Hill. And I think it was Think and Grow Rich, where he was talking about, I'm going to totally mess this up, but something. Yes, that. And I was always so curious about how you tactically do that. And when you mentioned that, I was like, this is the perfect dude to ask that question. How do you take that energy and tactically shift it into something positive?
So it's called sexual transmutation, but I use the word energy because it comes from energy. Energy can't be created nor destroyed. It can only be transferred. The awareness comes first. The same guy that broke into all the houses, broke into all the cars, slept around with all those women when he was a broken boy with a hole in his heart, is the same guy that has impacted millions of people. It's the same energy, just transferred in a different direction. It's just transferred in a different direction. So how you do that is people will show up to whatever they find valuable. How do you know what's valuable to them? Whatever they show up to the most, because energy goes where energy flows. Wherever your attention is on the most, whether you know it or not, it's what's valuable to you. So there's a payoff. There's a dopamine hit. There's a something. There's always a payoff on something you keep getting energy to. You keep scrolling and you're wondering why. Life is not working. Yes, because you've given all your power away to everybody else's life. And so you understand that you're the creator of your own reality and not some cliche way. You actually are. And whoever told us, you just act like your world revolves around you. It actually does. If you say, I'm sick, 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 all day long, and speak it into the vibrational awareness of your body over and over and over, just like a song that you hear over and over and over, and you can't get the song out of your head because it drips into your subconscious mind and spills over into the physical evidence of your life. If you say, I'm sick, I'm sick, I'm stupid, I'm stupid, I'm fat, and you allow that to audibly come out of your mouth. I'm always late, I'm always late, I'm always late. Oh, I have such a hard time with that. And you admit to it, that becomes your God. And whatever becomes your God is literally shaping and creating your life. So people aren't aware of just how powerful they are. But if they found value and realized just, I'm the one that's blocking. I turn my libido off. I'm the one that's attracting the same kind of guy over and over and over and over and over again. Well, maybe I can stall another version of a guy. Maybe I can start seeing life in a different way. I'm focusing on all the negative things. What would happen if I became a good finder and started pointing out all the good that you see in things that most people see are negative? Well, that's where your attention will go. Well, if that's your attention goes, your energy will grow there. And when that energy is concentrated around your attention, it will produce in an outward expression the physical equivalent of what you continuously focus on.
So does this go back to the opposite piece that you were talking about earlier? So like, let's say I'll use myself an example. So I have historically a lot of energy around people pleasing or belonging, that whole issue. And let's say I wanted to transfer that energy into something that was a contribution, a strength. And so you're saying find the opposite. Tell me if I'm off here. Find the opposite of this piece over here, direct my energy towards the opposite, and the energy will flow towards that.
Yes. That started the process. So say, for instance, I used to always take the stairs. I used to always take the escalators. Well, the opposite of escalators is the stairs. So I started taking the stairs every day. Interesting how I started losing weight. It creates a chain reaction. And then I started posting, take the stairs every day, take the stairs. Now there was 1,000-something people sharing posts with me, always take the stairs, always take the stairs. Now I'm adding value to a lot of people's lives in a simple way where they can take simple actions and it'll create a result. So I saw the value in what that was and how I was showing my own life value just by doing the opposite. And then it was doing the same for other people. So that taught me how to build the muscle to be able to shift directions. So you could start with something really simple. If you normally use gel soap, try using bar soap for 30 days.
Just intentionally shift it.
Intentionally shift it. You right now, everybody here is dominant hand. See what happens if you go a whole day using your non-dominant hand. That will exercise a different part of your brain that is literally untapped. Try eating with your, and then watch what ideas that wants to magically surface because you're using more of your brain capacity. Oh, I'm right foot, I'm right hand, I'm right. Yeah, you're using part of yourself. So you start using the fullness, use your left hand. If you're right dominant, you have no idea what's coming your way when we use what? 0.1% of our brains? What will happen if you use 0.6? It's a whole nother level.
This rubs against something in me because I know what you're saying is true. And then when I ran to personal development like you did, man, like the structure piece, because I didn't have structure growing up, I cling to that as a life source because it gave me safety. It helped me accomplish things. And I've held so tightly over the past 10 years to the structure piece because of productivity, because of accomplishment, because of all that, that now when I'm tapping into creativity and source and some of this stuff, I hear you, but then that panic comes in of like, well, how are we going to be structured beings if we're testing and trying? Wouldn't we go to what's proven? So what you got for me with that?
Well, one, what's proven is your belief.
Lord Jesus. Whew, you got to shut me down like that.
Yeah. If you don't believe in yourself, you will seek safety outside of yourself.
Damn, that's good.
If you believe, truly believe. My wife came to me. She was like, if I stopped my job, she was earning tons of money before she even met me. Would we be okay? Baby, I don't want to have to do what I did to get here. I'm tired. I just want to be a mom. I want to bake bread and whatever. And she's like, baby, will you take care of me? And I was like, oh my God, yes. What? So funny. My company, Artist Power, was started 1 month later after she said that. That's the power of a woman in her feminine essence anyways. However, there was something about the conversation that I said, you know what? No matter what, we'll be okay. We will always be okay without having the physical proof. Why? Do you know what the most powerful nation is? Do you know what the most powerful nation is?
I don't.
The nation of images, the imagination. Every single thing that has ever been created started in someone's mind who was confident enough to be able to see it without having physical proof. The planes, the clothes, the cars, the houses, the radios, every single thing. That's the most powerful nation. So if I can imagine myself being able to fully take care of my family and my wife take a damn rest and breathe and be a mother like she wants to be without needing to have to work. And that's never been modeled for me. But you know what I did? I drove my belief stronger into the ground. And I looked her in the face. I said, baby, you have my word. No matter what, we'll be okay. And she just goes, it's that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you've got to drive your faith, your belief in yourself like a triton into the ground so far that it demagnetizes all of the stinking thinking. Well, what if this doesn't work? Well, what if it does? Well, what if it does? And so this is the conversation right there. Either you believe in yourself or you don't. Partial is not belief. I believe in myself fully. And then your world will match your own belief.
How do I deepen that belief with myself?
The quickest way that I've learned how one can do that, I have a saying that says, flowers that grow together grow much faster than they do by themselves. My confidence came online even more when I chose to surround myself around confident people to see how they moved, the books that they read, how they built each other up. So in community, you become the sum total of the vibrational match of the people that you choose to surround yourself around. It's a lot of people that hang out with negative, cynical people that complain about the news, the weather, the president. They complain about everything. I'm like, yo, I really don't have vibrational time for this. I need to be in an environment where people are building people up. We're talking about making a difference in the world, but restoring the heart back into humanity. So the first place I would say is find you an uplifting community that are living in the direction that you want to live. And if you know the nature of how flowers works, take the same species of flowers. You got one that's this high and the others about this high. Because of the laws of how nature works, it's energy. Energy goes where energy flows. This flower will eventually catch up with this flower because this is the sum total of the energy of all the flowers. So you will raise to the environment that you hang out with the most, that you implement or immerse yourself in with the most. That is the quickest way I know how to develop your confidence, and through continuous repetition of what you want to be confident in.
But Garrain, I don't know anyone who is the vibrational match of who I want to be. I don't have the environment, the right resources. I don't know where these people are. What would you tell me then?
Well, good thing you're talking to somebody who was homeless, living in his car, didn't really know anybody, but learned that your energy is worth more than your money, and then went to research online. I went to research, and literally on Facebook right now, there's about maybe 250,000 free groups of people that are almost in every category that you can think of. If you're a mom saying, I live in Oklahoma and I'm just looking for other moms, literally type in on Facebook, Oklahoma fit moms, and you'll see a group there. When I moved to Austin, Texas, I was looking for a cultured community and music and spiritual community. So I was like, spiritual community in Austin. It pulled up 15 pages. And I went and introduced myself in every single one of them. So if you have a solution mind and you're willing to figure it out based off of what you want, that is worlds of a different than someone who says, well, I don't have. No, this is called procrastination and unconscious laziness, because when somebody finds value in something and they really want it, because see, when people say, well, I don't have the resources, I don't have the money, I don't feel sorry for them because I was $250,000 in debt when I went to go research all this other stuff. So I have every reason in the world to allow my own just smallness and suffering to continue to shrink me. But then I said, no longer Will I allow my current circumstances to determine how my future is going to look? So I decided to create in my mind how I wanted my life to look and decide from that place. I don't have any money. Well, guess what? I have some shoes. I could have sold some shoes. That's the solution mind will always figure out a way. The unsolution mind will always figure out an excuse.
Come on. You know, when Jamie mentioned you to me and I went to your Instagram and started looking at your content, I was so excited to see the word artist there. And I was kind of surprised because I asked him, I said, who are some really tapped in spiritual people? Because I'm on this huge journey, like trying to figure some stuff out, man. So I'm interviewing folks in the spiritual space a lot lately. And I wasn't expecting to see the word artist with you. And I told you a little bit about my heart with creatives lately, which is new for me. I'm just curious, why that word artist?
Well, if you look at a little kid, they have boundless continual energy. They never run out of creativity. They're in their bigness. They're in their power. They're in their own full creative expression. Somewhere or another, that little kid grows into a person that most of the time gives up on their dream. And I have a saying that says adults are deteriorated children. The cemetery is not where you see the most dead people. It's where you encounter people. It's something that's died inside of them, and it's their spirit. There's a reason why they say little kids go to heaven. Simply because they're the closest thing to source. They're the closest thing, humans, to the spiritual realm, because they haven't been tapped in by all these commercials and all the war and all it's the stuff that like disintegrates the human spirit. They're the closest thing to the spiritual realm and the physical realm. And the word artist, you got to think about creativity. So I just say God is the most powerful artist. Just open your eyes. So the creator creates creators. So when you are in the artist, you actually hit the sweet spot of the creator, the artist. So for me, the artist is the little kid who remembers. And when you can unlock that memory that's already and that's always been inside of you, it unlocks the power of co-creation. The boundless energy comes back. The creativity comes back. The magical being of who you've always been is remembered. And then all of a sudden, you start shaping and shifting and aligning yourself in such a way that life, as you know it, starts manifesting itself around you. Well, I'm really good at Rubik's Cube. And all it is a combination of colors. And if you can understand how music works, there's no such thing as a bad note. It's just surrounded around the wrong combination of notes. So I found and discovered the right combination of people, education, leadership excellence. Leadership has to be a part of it because there's lots of great people who lack direction. So just at least being in the right direction with your same skill set, you can't hit a target you don't have. And so I've been leading powerful leaders for over 14 years. So my skill set in that, my skill set in martial arts, being a professional track athlete, being in entertainment, and I came back to, oh my goodness, that what was missing. Me as an artist, me as a creator. And a voice inside said, Garrain, start with the art, then take them to transformation. And I was like, oh. And a mom goes, well, I'm not an artist. I'm just a mom. I'm like, oh, really? You're just a mom.
Yeah.
Who you think created those babies? Listen to the word create. Oh, who matched those outfits with your kids? Oh, who diced up those perfectly squared sandwiches? She's like, me? I was like, what aspect of you had the preciseness and the matching? That's the artist, my friend. Oh, I'm just a businessman, blue collar, and I just do spreadsheets. Oh, really? Who put those bubbles in a synchronized way with the headline?
Yeah.
Oh, that's an artist. So the artist is a part of all of us, and most people forgot. Yes. So I've created a company that is specifically designed to support you with the right combination of thoughts, education, leadership, people, so that you could remember yourself. That in itself is spiritual, because it gets you to tap and alchemize the physical and the spiritual self. That's the way the little kids are born. So if you can bring you back into that, you are the closest thing to the spiritual realm. And that's my work. That's why the artist, because that's the gateway to unlock your real spiritual gifts and who you really are. And it's through the power of creativity and play and joy and community and tribe and singing and dancing and joy. Oh, wait a second. Maybe the entertainment never left me. It just needed to be in the right container.
Yeah.
As I work with so many people and we're singing and we're dancing and we're drumming. And I was like, oh, okay. So that's why the artist.
I'm going to press in even a little bit more to it. I've been really surprised how much resistance people have around when I bring up creativity. And I told you I shifted into this, just really exploring the muse, storytelling, just kind of that tapped in stuff. And I was just at an event last week and it was all these entrepreneurs. And I'm like, who in here doesn't feel like they're creative? And like everybody raised their hand. There's just such a resistance around that. I'm so curious, like as a leader, as a communicator, how do you frame and communicate creativity to folks when it's just been like sucked out of us? Like I may consciously like, yeah, I'm sure that's important. Yeah. Okay. But how is there like a sense of urgency with people to understand like this is meat and potatoes stuff you're talking about?
You can talk to someone's head or you can talk to the inherent wisdom in the body. And I have something that says it's called vibrational truth. There's truth found in the head, which is full of lies. And there's truth found in the inherent wisdom in the body, which no lie can penetrate. When I'm speaking with people, I'm not talking to their head. I'm literally talking to the vibrational resonance in their body. And that's why they start feeling that fire. They're like, what is this? What is this? And I'm also a walking embodiment of every single word that comes out of my mouth. So I'm not even coming from theory. I'm coming from being the example of what I'm talking about. So because I'm always dancing and playing and I care two shits what it looks like. But then people are like, yo, man, you're in $500,000 in 3 days. And then, but it was all effortless. You got to understand how energy works. But because I'm bold in my expression. If someone even takes 1% of bold action inside of their own version of that, it will create a seismic difference than just kind of doing the same thing over and over and over again. So because I'm speaking to the inherent wisdom and the vibrational resonance of their body, it bypasses the theory of the brain. I'm not talking to the head. I'm like moving directly to the body because I'm coming from that place inside of myself. But I will also preface it. I'll walk into a room full of high-level business people that don't want to hear that. And I'm like, so here's the deal. I have a client that's worth $950 million. And I know some of these business people want to grow their companies to that. And he's come to my office as a broken boy, not knowing how to have fun and not knowing how to be in joy, and doesn't have a relationship with his family, and he's learning how to do that. So I'm aware that not even money, there's no amount of money in the world that can buy you whole life success. What I'm about to share with you could be the biggest difference in the money that you're making or the life that you're experiencing and expressing in the fullest, and just the money that you're making or your life being fully fulfilled. So I know how to speak directly into the audience because I know where their head's at. They want to hear the 7 steps to this and this and this. But then when I say forgiving somebody or letting go of resentment that you're holding resentment towards can open up energy inside of your body. And that's directly connected to energy you could be giving to your wife, your kids, your businesses. You might be blocked in that way. So it's all about knowing your audience and then providing context and speaking in their language and then bringing them back in the same space. So I'm bold. I'm not like, I don't know how to speak to this. I'm there. I know what I have to share is very, very, very valuable because I coach a lot of people in this audience and they're all broken.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a final question for you, ask all my guests, but I am so happy I got to meet you. This was such a gift. You know, I was thinking, you were telling the story earlier about being a father and being an exceptional father. And my dad had a similar background as you. And he broke that chain in his family, and he was present in my life and loved me. And mistakes were made for sure. But I have a relationship with him, and I can't tell you as a daughter what that means, that he chose to break the shit that was in his family line and do the work. And I know, man, like the legacy you're leaving for your family and all these people, it goes deep. It goes so deep. So thank you as the recipient of somebody who had that legacy. Man, I just think the world of you. I'm so grateful you spent some time with us today. Before our very last question, you have a book, you have a mastermind, you have sick Instagram that everybody needs to go follow, some great content. Where would you like to direct our listeners to?
My website, Garrain Jones, and my book, it came out in 2020. So the 2020 version of me it's like light years from who I am now, but it's still
Time for another, man.
Yeah, no, the next one is called Artist Power: Rediscovering the Lost Art of the Little Self. So that's the next book.
Cool.
But all the work that I do is focused on how can I support the little kid inside of the adult to actually be happy. So whether it's my retreats, our next one is November 1st through the 5th in Austin, Texas. Last one was like 80 something people. Artist Power Awaken. In August, in the middle of August, I'm doing a mastermind, which is going to be really awesome, and teaching people lots of tools, because everything that I teach, you can apply in every area of your life. And it's how to live a fully expressed life with confidence and with expression and speaking and being yourself. A lot of powerful tools. But right now, I'm just really excited about this time, because every time I hear something on TV and so many people suffering, I know if you take it all the way down, it's either a lost or a broken child that doesn't feel seen, that doesn't feel heard, doesn't feel like they matter. And then they've compounded suffering on top of one another. And that is what has turned into war, racism, bigotry, and all the other things that we see. I see the child that I hold space so that all the little kids inside of the broken adults, may they feel seen and heard and loved and like somebody actually cares. Because when a child feels nurtured, they don't act out.
Come on. All that will be linked in the show notes. My friends, very last question. What is something, the question about questions. I think it's important. We're always asking questions, that we dig deep, that we have curiosity. What is something in your life right now that you're deeply questioning that you don't have the answer to? And friend, it could be something small, it could be something big, but what have you been wrestling with lately internally?
It's difficult to answer that question because I change words in my mind. I create a game that I like playing. So anytime if I feel stuck or there's a challenge, I always shift it to, I have a growth opportunity. Yeah. And I was like, and so it instantly shifts my energy. And so I would say the thing that I have a growth opportunity. I mean, right now I think I've learned everything that I can learn up until this point when it comes to being a boy dad. And, there hasn't been a boy in my family in 3 generations in the last 45 years. And I was the last boy, and now the next boy is coming in like a month. And there's a part of me, I'm not scared, but there's like, what's it going to be like? I don't know. And I know what it's like to reparent myself. I know what it's like to raise certain boys in Austin who are pretending to be men and modeling a certain aspect of a man. But I don't know what it's like being a boy dad. There's nothing that I'm questioning, but I'm like, I wonder what that's going to be like. I'm so excited to meet Chieftain. His name is Chieftain Wolf Jones. But it's not a struggle. It's not a wrestle. There's nothing that I'm struggling with or wrestling with. But I have it's like growth opportunities. And I just like, oh, that means me on the other side will be stronger than the man that I am now. I'll have a stronger foundation. So because I attune myself to look at all these things as opportunities of growth, I actually escape the suffering and I allow myself to train for the 64-mile run rather than having 64 tons of pressure on me.
So good, man. Congratulations to you. I'm so excited. It just made me so happy hearing that. Thank you so much for your time today. It was a gift getting to know you. Thanks for your time.
You're so very welcome, my friend.